Amazing. So welcome everybody. I'm so happy to be back at Youth Connects. We took a little bit of a break while we adjusted to some different schedules and getting ready to be, a little bit back in person, but a little bit online still. It's been interesting last couple of months. That's my best way of describing it, I think. But I'm happy to be back connecting with amazing Indigenous people as always. That's my favorite thing ever. And that's why I love the Cando family so much, because you learn so much. I'm Aubrey-Anne Laliberte-Pewapisconias, one of the hosts of the Cando Youth Connect and the National Student Director at Cando, joining you all from Treaty 6 territory and homeland of the Métis in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. I'm actually on campus right now in the Indigenous Business Student Society office. It's usually a little bit prettier than this, but we're redecorating right now, so bear with me in my background. But I also want to say that we have some amazing guests with us today. And so we have Kendal Netmaker, Nathan Crow, and Carl Archie. So if you guys just want to give a little wave, welcome, and thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited for this. Like I said, a little bit shorter, and we're just going to reintroduce the Youth Connect so that we can keep going with this, keep it strong, and keep our Cando youth and student participants really engaged with what we do as a Cando family. And so before we get started, maybe I'll just hand it over to each of our guests today to do a quick little introduction of your names and where you're from or what business you work for. So let's start with Nathan.
Hello, everyone. My Blackfoot name is Elk Bear. My English name is Nathan Crow. I am from the Kainai First Nation. I'm currently residing in my home territory. I'm living in Lethbridge in the Treaty 7 territory, which is also where I go to school. I'm currently attending the University of Lethbridge in the Indigenous Governance and Business Management program. I'm currently in my third year at the University of Lethbridge. I was lucky to be awarded the opportunity for the Cando National Indigenous Economic Education Fund, which is how I was able to connect with Cando and why I'm here today. And yeah, I'm just happy to also be a part of this great initiative that you guys have going forward. And yeah, happy to be here.
Amazing. Nathan, I feel like we're taking the same things in school, so we'll have to connect outside of this one day. That sounds amazing. But thank you so much for being here. Awesome. And then we'll introduce Carl, if you want to introduce yourself and tell us a bit.
Sure. Wait for fun up. Carl Archie and Squawks, Ditch Gascon staff on this Quamuk. Ditch Queen Meeple in the Elkston. My name is Carl Archie. I'm a counselor here at the Canam Lake Band, part of the Squamish Nation. And I'm currently also a treaty negotiator here and also the counselor responsible for starting up our Economic Development Corporation. So you can see like behind me, this is our company logo. It's quite cool and quite an exciting initiative. And then my background is I'm a former banker, community planner, worked with First Nations across the country, worked in every major city and every province. Sat on the board of Cando back in the day when I was a student as well as a student director. So had lots of connections to Cando, and yeah, I'm happy to be here and see everybody and talk to everybody. I'm also a former Chinook scholar, so I met Kendal back in the day when I was still a student.
Amazing. I'll also note, Carl, we were at the Youth Summit in the same year, and your team, I think, made our team feel a little bit bad for our presentation, but that's okay.
Yeah, that was 2 or 3 years ago back in Edmonton. We were at the Enoch Cree Resort. That was quite fun. Our team won first place, and it all just went to the casino.
That's the beauty of things. So we bonded at the casino, everybody.
Yeah.
Good times, good times. Hopefully we can get back in person again one day with the youth summit. So that'd definitely be fun. And then Kendal, if you want to give yourself a little introduction before we kind of get you to talk more about other things.
Hey guys, hey everybody. Hope you're all doing good. Kendal Netmaker, and see you guys soon. Nakuwati in Sweetgrass. I'm currently in Saskatoon. I've been here for 14 years roughly. Since university days. My connection to Cando was way back in 2000 and what was that throwback photo again, Danielle? I posted in the group there. I think it was 2011, I think was I was on the youth panel way back then, and we actually got our first business award through Cando, which was the private sector. So that was very special for us because we went there for two reasons way back in Richmond, BC. And it was really good times. And ever since then, I've been connected with Cando, been doing a lot of webinars, and we'll talk about the coaching program here in a bit. So lots on the go. And currently I do a lot of keynotes, consulting, and I help other businesses grow their companies right now. So yeah, just happy to be here, and good job, Aubrey. Good job with the crew here, and looking forward to learning.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here. I love being in a space with, other people in the Cando community, because I think for me, I got involved with Cando through the Youth Summit the same year that Carl was there. And I had such a great time that I was like, I'm going to apply to every single thing Cando has going on next. And so I applied to be the National Student Director, and I'm in my second term of it now. And then I applied to be on the National Youth Panel. And so I did that in Gatineau a couple years ago before everything went online. And so I definitely got some time to be part of the Cando family and then just get really ingrained in it, even in a virtual year. And so that's been so amazing. I feel like I see Elsie, Beth, and Danielle all the time, which I love. So welcome, Elsie, Beth, and Danielle. If you guys want to just quickly say kind of your roles with Cando and all the amazing things you do as well.
Sure, I can start. So my name is Danielle Lightning. I work with Cando as Special Projects Director. I actually started as their national summer student, and then I was also on the National Youth Panel at one point as well. So they always link us in somehow. So yeah, and yeah, I'm from Miskin Cree Nation in Alberta. So good to see you all. Lots of familiar faces. All right.
Hi everybody, Elizabeth Calahaison. I come from Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation located on Treaty 8 territory. I got involved with Cando as Danielle's assistant about 2.5 years ago. So I'm in it now and enjoy it. A great team, and nice to see everybody.
Hi, my name is Elsie.
Sorry.
My name is Elsie, and I'm originally from Treaty 2. And I just started with Cando this year, and I'm part of the Special Projects team.
Amazing. Yeah. Like Danielle said, they always find a way to loop you in forever, which is nice because we're a big family. And I love it. I remember the first time I went to the Cando conference, I was like, oh, I'm not going to know anybody. I'm going to be left out and no one's going to talk to me. I got nothing but people coming up and talking to me, and it'd be so just random and different. And it was amazing because now I know people from across the country who are doing great things in economic development and business. And it's just been so incredible. So I'm glad we can all kind of come together. And Daphne, not to put you on the spot at all, but you're one of our participants. If you want to introduce yourself, feel free to unmute, or if you want to write it in the chat, feel free to do that too. Do you want to introduce yourself, Daphne?
I'm Daphne Steinhauer. I'm from Treaty 6. I'm from Star Lake Cree Nation. And yeah. Just wanted to come on here to come learn more about this. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you for joining us, Daphne. I'm really excited that you joined on with us because you kind of get to have a very close chat with all of our amazing guests today. And I'm also glad that you're part of it so you can hear about, the Cando family and what you can get involved with more, especially like when we go back to in-person events, fingers crossed. So yes, with that, I guess we've talked a little bit about how everybody is involved with Cando, but before we go a little bit more into our Cando family with Nathan and Carl, I want to hand it over to Kendal to talk a little bit about an opportunity we have for people to take part in the Indigenous Coaching Program. And so with that, I'll hand it over to Kendal to talk a bit.
Sure. Yeah. So I won't take up too much of your time. Every 2 weeks on Tuesdays, we have a total of 8 sessions, and currently we created this program with Cando, which started here in end of September, and it's running 8 sessions bi-weekly, so every 2 weeks on Tuesday evenings. I believe that is 6 o'clock Edmonton time, and every session is a different topic. So we cover leadership, entrepreneurship, public speaking, and so on, many different topics. And during that time, it's some content, but also it's a lot of Q&A. And we also have Michelle co-hosting with us. I'm sure many of you have met Michelle in past webinars. So she co-hosts with me, and yeah, it's our first cohort right now. We got just over 20 people right now registered, and we're looking to potentially get more on the next cohort. So the deadline to apply for that is in about 2-3 weeks roughly. I can't remember the exact date. And then we start the second week of January, I believe. So it's coming up pretty quick. If you're interested in learning from us, there is a link right there. December 17th, Danielle has posted, Elizabeth. Feel free to join us. It's very similar to this, but we focus on different topics for every session. And so usually when people, this all came about primarily because people usually want specific content, and I get a lot of inboxes from people like wanting coaching. So I thought, why don't we partner with Cando to create this one-to-many product to get people in and ask the same questions, because I can only handle so many one-on-one clients throughout the year. So we created this, and it's free. It's 100% free for all of you. And at the end of it, you get a certificate with completion, and you can put that on your resume, show people that you've been taking your personal development seriously. And again, hopefully we can see you there. Our next session is next week, but the next cohort starts second week of January. Okay. Yeah, so that's pretty much the program. If there's any questions, feel free to reach out to Beth, to Danielle, Elsie, and again, they all have my contacts. So if you have any questions for me, you can reach out through them to connect with me. So I'll hand it back over. I can stay for about 10 more minutes, and I got to get ready for another call. So I'll hang out here for 10 minutes. If there's any other questions, you can put it in the chat here. So back over to you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Kendal. I highly recommend any youth either watching the recording or here today consider applying, because I've definitely heard Kendal speak before, whether that be at different events or at Cando webinars. And Kendal has taught me a lot about, what I can do as, a young Indigenous professional. And so one of the things was, being humble when you're back in community, but when you're in the business world, you have to be able to talk about your accomplishments and what you did. And I really struggled with that before I heard Kendal talk about it. And so you learn so much, and even just like from one session, you take away a ton of things. So imagine what you'll take away after 8 and moving forward with that. So I highly recommend looking into that. Also, some friends of mine and people that I know have gotten coached by Kendal. You look at Treaty 6 apparel. Kendal's been a great help there. And then also with NAWA Wellness, Kendal is a good coach for multiple businesses that are up and coming. And so if you're interested and you just want to learn, you don't even have to have, a business in place. And then that way you get to just get the skills you need so that if you want to one day you can. And Indigenous women are growing businesses at twice the rate of non-Indigenous women, and Indigenous business owners, I think, are at like 5 times the rate of self-employed Canadians. And that was just from, I think, the 2016 consensus. So imagine where we are now. So definitely get involved while you can. And these opportunities are amazing. And that's what makes the Cando family so awesome too, because you get all these opportunities. So I can't say enough great things. I could honestly keep going on because I love the coaching and, these initiatives that you get to take part in. I think utilize them when you can, because every year I get older, I'm like, oh, I'm never going to get to do these things again. Thankfully, I'm still young. I hope it stays like that for as long as possible, but utilize the opportunities when you can, because there's so much. But yeah, so with that, we'll move forward a little bit, just I think more on the Cando family. This is definitely going to be a recording that goes up that we want all of our youth in Cando to see, and the people here participating too, just to talk a little bit about how at Cando, you know, we come together in so many ways. And when the virtual world came, Cando didn't step back and say, oh, we'll wait till things go back in person. Cando stayed, and they created initiatives and opportunities. Our youth summit kept moving forward. Our conference still happened. We brought webinars to people that were, instead of, you know, going into different communities, we got to do it online so everyone could attend, and you could make friends from across the country and grow your networks in that way. And so Cando has never stepped down and unwavered in that. And even when we're in person, and when we go back to being in person, the environment that you go into when you go into a conference or the youth summit is amazing. I have friends from all over the country in every province and territory because of Cando, and I couldn't say that because of any other event I've attended. And that's all thanks to the family that I have here. I'm sad when my term comes to an end because I won't be a student at one point anymore. I will be convocating in April, so sad and happy. I'll have to pay the normal fees to be a student member or just a general member, but that's okay. But with that, I want to talk to Nathan and Carl a little bit. And so maybe we'll start here with Nathan. So how did a Cando initiative, you know, really impact your overall current success or help you in your life?
So I mentioned in my introduction that I received the National Indigenous Economic Education Fund scholarship through Cando. So I'm just gonna, I guess, focus on that because that's kind of was my segue into this family that you're mentioning in Cando. And I do agree, and I'll just emphasize the importance of gaining a family like us as Indigenous people within the industry or the business world. Because when I entered into my first internship, I realized through meet and greets that I did with people throughout the company that the majority of the non-Indigenous people that entered into, while I was interning in the oil and gas industry, they all got their start through a family member or a friend. That's how they entered into the industry. And I feel like us as Indigenous people, we don't have that luxury of having people like our great grandparents for years, generations and generations who have been in the industry. So I feel like Cando and organizations like Cando are so important for us as Indigenous people to, as you said, start building our family within on our network within the industry and within other industries as well, just other Indigenous professionals. So I'm very excited to be a part of this family, the Cando family. And ever since I've joined and been a member, there's been countless free webinars offered, and they've been very good at switching into the online environment, as you mentioned. They didn't just wait to say, let's wait till this pandemic is over. You know, there's still a need for connection amongst the Indigenous demographic that are in the professional field. And I just feel like I've entered into this family, as I keep touching on, and I'm very excited to be here.
Amazing. And we're happy to have you, Nathan. I'm glad that you were a recipient of one of the scholarships that Cando offers. And I think that it's great that, you know, now you're fully embraced. And I like how you kept repeating family, because I think that I repeat that too when I talk about Cando a lot of the time, because I'm like, what other way do I describe this? It doesn't feel, you know, like work. It doesn't feel like something you have to go to. When you talk to people, it's genuine. It's a great connection. It's like, I feel like Cando, they're my cousins in a lot of ways. They're my aunties, they're my uncles. I've learned so much from them. And, you know, I think that's what makes us different. And just in Indigenous business in general, that's what makes us different, is we're rooted in who we are as Indigenous peoples. And that, you know, it shines through our businesses and through our organizations. And that's what, you know, makes something like this a family instead of looking at it as just business. So thank you so much, Nathan, for talking about that.
No problem.
Awesome. And then Carl, can you talk to us a little bit about, you know, what the different things in Cando that you've done with youth? How has that contributed to your overall success?
Yeah, so my connections to Cando go way back. I'm old now. So just turned 32, I think. And so I've been not a youth for quite a while. But I started out back when, as I had mentioned, I was a student studying business, and one of the few people in the country who is First Nations and also has a degree in economics. And so it was really, really lonely for me getting that degree. Even in our school, we have over 150 business students in general. So the accounting class is huge. The finance class was huge. There's only 9 people who started out in an economics major, and then I think 3 of us graduated with our degrees. So that's even just in the general population. And then you look at the First Nations, there's probably, I know I can name 4 people off the top of my head who have a degree in economics. But then, so I joined Cando. I don't even know how I got it connected with them, but someone told me to join Cando, and then I saw that there was an opportunity to become a director. So I immediately signed up to run in the election for a director. And I actually tied with the other person. So the president had to make the tie-breaking vote. And so that was quite interesting. And he just happened to be another SWEM person. So he picked the SWEM person. So it was quite nerve-wracking. And I still know the other person who also ran for that election. And we keep in touch because she's a super smart person, and in many ways probably should have won. But then, so that it was quite cool. Like, I was able to go to Ottawa, join some Cando board meetings there, and see all of the Ottawa things. The Cando board also had at the time some season tickets to the Ottawa Senators, so we got to go and watch those hockey games, which was really, really fun. And then we had our conference in Fort Garry Hotel that year in Winnipeg. So it's a haunted hotel. We had it on Halloween, and it's pretty spooky. But they just had a ballroom. So we had a Halloween ball, which was amazing. The Manitoba, I think Winnipeg's in Manitoba. Anyways, the board of directors there specifically picked those dates because they wanted to do a ball in a haunted ballroom. It was quite fun. Like, it's a fun atmosphere to be a part of. And then once I did that, the next thing I did was Cando Youth Panel. That was up in Whitehorse, Yukon in 2016. It was really, really cool to sit on that panel. A whole bunch of the people that were on the panel, I didn't realize that I had already known from past lives. We just kind of met each other in passing before and never thought we would see each other again, and quickly became really, really good friends on that panel. The people who attend the Cando conferences are super, super supportive of youth. And so they, as soon as we were done the youth panel, companies from all over the country reached out and asked me for work interviews, and if I helped work on a textbook back in 2013 when I was a student. So I had a bunch of professors ask me about the textbook that we worked on, and they started teaching it in some of their universities. I know the University of Alberta is teaching it to their business students, University of Lethbridge, and a couple of other universities, University of Saskatchewan. So it's quite super cool and impactful to be able to share your message with people across the country. And then as part of the Cando Youth Panel at the time, they were offering, Cando had a partnership with an organization called CESO, which is Canadian Executive something else. I don't remember the other 2 acronyms, but anyway, so they provided us with executive coaching, and I was the only youth panel member to take them up on that offer. And it was an amazing, amazing experience. We got connected up with an executive coach who basically taught, his job was to teach me how to be an executive and what I need to do to be an executive leader. And so he was from Edmonton. He had clients all across the country, and CESO specifically flew him to Kamloops, where I was living at the time, once a month just to coach me on Saturdays. So it's quite an amazing experience, and I still use that work all the time, especially as a counselor. in my community, and then also helping to lead some of our business growth. Just so much learning, and being able to put it into practice now that I'm older is quite amazing. It's a little bit challenging to have to grow as a person, but to have that coaching and be able to help others through some of the problems that we're working through is amazing. We're reforming our companies, for example, and I have a CEO and a board of directors who report to me as counselor, and so just having those skills to be able to delegate all of that work to somebody, as my coach told me that I need to do, is something that I extremely value. After that, I went to the Edmonton Youth Summit a couple of years ago. That was quite fun. It was my last youth thing that I ever did in my life. So we went to Edmonton, met a whole bunch of youth from across the country. They're quite cool. Most of them are students. I was getting older at the time, so I think I was 29. And see that Kendal's leaving, so see you around, Kendal. Our team won first place. It was quite fun. We had a really fun group of people in our group, but we managed to use some of my executive coaching and make space for each person in our team to shine their brightest. And we actually had one person who had such high anxiety that she wouldn't talk in front of the group, so we assigned her to be a grandma. And she did. She played her grandma role pretty well. And she, what she would do is she's like, I can only speak Cree. So she told one of our crew members to, he had to translate for her. And so what she did was she wrote down what she wanted to say, but then obviously she was too nervous to say it. And so that's what we did. It was quite fun. And then we did some really cool technology stuff. So we were able to send out messages to everybody. And so what we did right at the beginning of our thing, so I used to be a business planner for a lot of First Nations, and we happened to have an exact business plan of the scenario that we were given. And so our team went and we tailored the business plan to this particular scenario, and then we were able to push it out to every single participant in the conference right at the beginning of our presentation. So that's pretty amazing. And then we won, I think the team won like $7,000. And so we just bought a lot of things for a lot of other, we didn't get to spend most of it. It was just, most of it went to the participants at the conference for various reasons. But so it's quite fun. And then just being able to know people from across the country is quite helpful. For example, Paul Donald was the president at Cando way back in the day when I was involved, and he now works for our neighboring First Nation, so we work quite closely with him, and he's also a good mentor for things that I had to go through with helping to manage our company. So that's a little, in a nutshell, what has happened with Cando over the last 10 years, and it's been quite a journey. And the network is amazing. So.
Holy, that is wild. I was like, I thought you would like get to the end at one point, and then you were like, and then I did this, and I was like, what didn't you do with Cando? Which is amazing. And I think that like that's like, I think that shines so much because I've only been involved with Cando since the youth summit we were at. And when I met you there, I remember people being like, oh, he used to be like the student director. And I was like, no way. I was like, that's why he's kicking our butt right now at this case. But no, your team was so amazing. And I remember the grandma, and everyone loved that. Everyone, like my team, we were all staying together and we're like, why didn't we have a cookum on our team? So you left an impression, which was amazing. And I'm glad you could do so much with Cando, because I think that like you're a prime example of why utilizing everything that this family has to offer can pay off. And so it's really great to have you here. Thank you for sharing that, Carl. So with that, I think that I just want to I think when we look back on the past, we always have to, look what's coming into the future. And so we will wrap this up pretty soon, but I just want to ask Nathan and Carl one more question each. And I just want to ask, like, what's on the horizon for you, and, what's coming, and, what are you looking forward to that, your Cando family can support you and be there for you in, or talk to you about moving forward. And so let's start with you, Nathan.
Yeah, so something that you mentioned, that you got, a piece of advice you got from Kendal, really resonated with me when you said that you have to be, as a lot of us Indigenous people, we're raised to be humble, but it really resonated with me when you said, you have to find that difference of, yes, sure, be humble when you're in community, but in a professional setting, you have to not be hesitant or not be worried about sharing your accomplishments. And that's something that I have to get better at as well. But so something that I'm working on going forward is I'm actually the new, I was elected as the Indigenous student rep for my university on the student council. And on top of that, I'm actually I'm sitting on a committee, a student advisory committee with Community Futures Treaty 7. It's an organization. We're basically trying to coordinate and implement an elders advisory committee and a workshop for the non-Indigenous businesses to have to, I guess, go through before hiring Indigenous students. So that's something I'm currently working on. And going forward, I guess I'm just excited about all the advocacy opportunities that I can provide for the students at the University of Lethbridge, just because I find that there's a lot of resources and faculty and staff in the Indigenous setting, I guess, like focused at Indigenous people and helping Indigenous students, but there's nothing really at the student level. And I feel like that's like, me as a student, sometimes you're hesitant to reach out to people in more professional roles, like say a professor or someone in an office position, right? But I feel like the student level is really where a big impact can be made. So I'm just really looking forward to, I guess, doing all that I can to try to remove some of those barriers for the students at my campus. And then also, I wanted to extend that into the committee that I'm sitting on, because I felt like the Indigenous student rep position is very individualistic, and I'm doing all of it kind of on my own. And quite honestly, I felt a little bit overwhelmed at first, just to be totally honest. And then I feel like me joining the other committee is just giving me that network. And then also this as well is giving me a big, a network to reach out to if I ever have any struggles or ever need any advice. I just feel like it's so important to have that network and that family, because I feel a lot of Indigenous people were very relational, and that's a big aspect, I guess, in our personalities and what makes us want to do things. So I feel me joining this committee, me joining the Cando family and the other committee, I just feel like it's very important, and it's going to help me greatly along the way, just because it's hard to do things on your own, and especially in an Indigenous person in a non-Indigenous world, it's that much harder. So just knowing that I have these networks to fall back on and to reach out to is just so important to me. And I feel like hearing Carl's story about all of the support and the networking and the families and opportunities that he's been able to reach with his time at Cando, it's just making me excited, I guess. And for the opportunities that hopefully are in the future.
Amazing. And congratulations on being on so many things for student advocacy. I think that, that is so important. And I feel like a lot of the time, there's so much support from the, Indigenous business community for Indigenous students. But what we often find, I think sometimes as Indigenous students, is there's not enough being done within those institutions. And so I think that it's so incredible, you know, that you're stepping up and you're using your voice to advocate for change, because that's not only going to help you while you're in school, it's going to help every Indigenous student that comes after you to have a better space to enter into, where, you know, they've made changes with the help of your voice and your ideas, you know, for those future generations that come forward. And I think that the generations that came before you would be very, very proud of what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Of course. But yes, I think that's amazing. We got to connect, Nathan. I feel like we're doing so much of the same stuff, which I love. So we'll definitely connect now. Glad to see you in the Cando family. So hopefully I can show you some cool initiatives we have and some opportunities for you too.
For sure, I look forward to it.
Yes, perfect. And then Carl, how about you? You know, like what's on the horizon for you and what are you looking forward to that, you know, your Cando family can support and amplify you and be proud of you for?
Yeah, so the next immediate goal is that we want to win one of the Cando Awards with the company that we're getting started. So obviously we need to grow the company. We need to do a lot of work to be able to get to that point, but we have a lot of inspiration. Cando highlights amazing communities all from across the country every single year. So we know that it's possible and we know that it will work. I just also want to encourage everyone to continue to be involved, not only in Cando, but everything that you can be involved in. When I was a student, I traveled to every major city in this country. And I never spent a single dime of my own money. And I stayed in the fanciest hotels that you can think of. Ate a lot of good food as a broke student. That's really important. And then just continue to take on challenges as they come. I know, and even like when you graduate university, I wouldn't be too upset if you don't get work at an Indigenous organization right away. I think from my perspective, it was super, super helpful that I was able to go out in the world, and I worked as a commercial banker, and as a commercial banker, I had 150 clients who were business clients. So from everything from like mining contracts to bike shops to cafes, hotels. So I got to go and inspect all those businesses and see all their financial statements, meet the business owners. And then I became a community planner for a company called Urban Systems. So they do engineering and community planning. So we built infrastructure in communities across the country, and did community planning, did highway planning, made sure that communities had clean drinking water, all those sorts of things that they were able to teach me. And they taught me about report writing, stuff like that. Making sure like follow up on every single opportunity that you get, because you never know what could happen. Just me following up, I ended up working on Canada's first textbook in Aboriginal business. So those types of things, they just happen because sometimes you're the only person to say so. And it's really, really important. And then all these skills, like one day your community is going to feel confident enough in you that they're going to ask you to undertake all of this work, which is a lot. It's a lot of work. I now have a lot of gray hairs since I started coming back to my community. We've got the company that we're starting up, and then we already own 5 companies. I just got a call today. My day job is a treaty negotiator, negotiating modern treaty in British Columbia. So we talk about everything from like subsurface resources, which is mining, forestry, education, road resources, and all that kind of crazy stuff. But our chief negotiator just phoned me this morning and asked if I would consider becoming an associate chief negotiator for all of our communities, which is a really, really exciting opportunity. But yeah, so that's what's coming up next in my my career. See you, Daphne, Matt Weekchin. And just encourage you to keep going, because you never know what's going to come up, and do the hard work all the time, and keep your head down. And every time you do a little bit of work, talk about it with somebody, and you'll get recognized as it comes along. But that's part of being humble, is doing the work, and then you'll have the chance to talk about your accomplishments from time to time, which is really, really good. And Cando is really, really good at supporting our youth in celebrating those accomplishments. So thank you.
Amazing. And I'm glad that you touched on, taking every opportunity that you can, because I think that there are so many things offered. I know that when I first came into school, people were like, apply for everything, like absolutely everything you can, because even if you don't get it, um, the chances are that you will, because there's so many opportunities out there with so many spots and so many people looking for Indigenous youth to take part in different things. But then on top of that, even if you don't get in, you have something like a document that you wrote or a letter you wrote to submit that you can use to apply to the next thing, and then it just gives you experience on what else can you look into, what else can you do, you can apply again. So it's definitely amazing that you talked about that, and I love that you stayed in all the bougiest hotels. Definitely probably was a highlight. But yes, I know that this is going to be was a shorter one, so I guess we'll kind of start to wrap up. I do want to thank Nathan and Carl so much for joining us. I'm happy that we're all in the Cando family together, and also to Danielle, Beth, and Elsie for all the amazing work that you do on Cando. Being on the board these past 2 years has been absolutely incredible. I feel like the staff at Cando make the board look so good, because we don't have to do anything, because they're busting their butts to make sure that there are opportunities out there for Indigenous peoples and economic development, and it never goes unnoticed. And so I always love to thank our Cando team, because they do so much to make sure that this family stays together. How my family is, we always talk about, like our cookums and our mushums and our grandparents, they're the ones that usually keep our family together. They make us come back for Christmas. They make us, go back for different holidays and have dinner. And that's exactly what I think our Cando staff does. They make sure that we have opportunities to come together, like at our conferences and our youth summits. They make sure the scholarships go out. They make sure that the certifications are happening properly. And so that they're our glue that keeps us all together. And so definitely amazing to have that. So with that, we're going to keep moving forward, and this is going to be a great conversation that we show to other youth. And so Carl and Nathan, I truly appreciate you joining us today, because you exemplify what it's like coming into the Cando family from the perspective of Nathan, and the opportunity that's on the horizon and what you get to look forward to. And Carl got to show us what it was like taking every opportunity that was out there, and where you are now, and what you're doing in your community, and what's on the horizon next. Hopefully a Cando award. We'll all manifest it for you. So there's so much, and there's so much more. It's not just when you're a youth, but when you're a youth, there's so much, and when you're a student, there's so much. And like Danielle said, Carl, the coaching is still open, and from 18 to 35, so you're still a youth. You're
That's
still
exciting. I'll start calling myself a youth again.
Do it. We extended the age. Why not? I'll be calling myself a youth until I'm 85 is my goal. So that's what I'm going to go with. But I truly appreciate you being here. I think, when I went to the summit and then sat on the youth panel, and now get to be the national student director, which is coming to an end, which I'm very sad about. I think back of like how it started, and it literally started with just me writing a document that wasn't that good about what I thought economic development was. And at the time I was like, oh, it's just building a business. It's really not. So I think, Beth and Danielle and everybody who read that and still had the nerve to accept me. And I thank them, because now I'm a part of an incredible family that just kept pushing me to do more. And now I have great friends, great opportunities that have come because of it. I've gotten to connect with Indigenous youth from across the country, and Indigenous professionals that are doing so much. And I think that this was amazing, because even though we didn't get a bunch of people to be with us live, the people that watch this recording are going to be like, wow, that's what it means to be part of the Cando family. And I think that that's going to go a really long way. And so I appreciate you both. Oh, why am I getting emotional? I'm sorry. I just love Cando, and I never want to not be part of it. So with that, I thank you all. I hope everybody goes on their journeys safely. I look forward to watching what you both accomplish moving forward into the future. I will definitely stay in touch. I need to learn some of Carl's skills on presenting, and I need to connect with Nathan about what we're doing at our different schools and see how we can compare and learn from each other. And so I definitely will be in touch more moving forward. But with that, I thank you both, and I hope you go on your way in a great way. And I am so appreciative, and I can't wait to see what we continue to do as a Cando family and watch what you continue to stay up to. And so with that, I wish you all an amazing rest of your day, an amazing and safe weekend. And I guess we won't be back for Cando Youth Connect until after the holidays. So I hope everyone has a very safe, relaxing, and healthy holiday. And so with that, I'll see you all.
Yeah, thanks. And feel free to connect with me on Facebook and LinkedIn under Carl Archie. And if you ask my siblings, my biggest accomplishment is that I was in a viral video. My brother scared me when we were at a cabin, so I just screamed like I was horrified. And so it has like over 300,000 views, and it's been featured in other YouTube channels and memes now. So
wow, you need to send that to the Cando family.
I never watch it, and I'll never acknowledge it. But if you ever see something like my brother in the video said, I'm minding my Indigenous business, those memes, those are from that.
We'll find it. We'll find it.
Yeah. All right. See ya. Have a good day.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye, everyone.